Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Miami Total Football Radio, the show. It's 2026. I might have to change that song. We might need to find a way to skip Bad Bunny's copyright and get some reggaeton jams back on the intro music like we had a long, long time ago. As you can see, as you will hear if you're a listener, not a viewer, all three of us are back together again. It's a reunion. The first time in I think many months that all three of us are back together. And of course, I am Franco Panizo, your usual co-host, joined by Jose Armando, aka Island Jose, aka Cinco, and in very timely fashion, the return of Andrea Llanes, aka our beloved Ajicita. Ajicita's in the house just in time for some juicy news. We'll start with Andrea because it's been a while since we've heard from her. So, Andrea, how are you? Welcome back.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back. First of all, I cannot start my participation without saying congratulations to every Miami Total Football radio listener because of the title that Inter Miami got last year. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be here for the title, for after. It's been a couple of chaotic months. Even this year, I wasn't able. Jose was here, I think, but I wasn't able to be here. But I'm glad to be back, and I wanted to congratulate everyone because, you are MLS champions for up until December of this year. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm glad to be back.
That's as
Maybe I
nice as
snap
it will
you back
get.
to reality.
That's as nice as it will get from Andrea on this week's show, I'm sure. Jose, my friend, with the camo. What do you call that? Off-white camo? How are you, my friend?
I think so. I'm good. I'm good. It's the timing is just perfect for this pod. With everything that happened this morning in training, and then the interviews, and then even the post media availability with all the Messi news. So should be pretty good. By the way, is this our prediction pod, or are we having another one next week? Because essentially preseason is over for Inter Miami, right?
Well, with today's news, Inter Miami's preseason friendlies are all but over, I guess, although one has been postponed, but it won't be a preseason friendly at that point. So, we could do some predictions, but I don't know if we can. We've got a lot of to talk about, especially when it comes to El Diez, number
Also, you
10.
mean this is not going to be a 2 hour show?
No,
Oh,
this is good.
man.
No, come on, man. Come
Oh,
on. This is
man.
2026. We're gonna do good with time. We're gonna do good with time. I'm gonna make sure that everyone talks less, tightens it up, trims the fat.
Yellow
Um, yeah. This year I'm gonna be a stricter referee. Like I got it ready. I've got it ready. Although this is still preseason, especially for Andrea, just getting back into it, dusting off the cobwebs. So I'll be lenient, but once the season gets going, cards will be flying like if you're Toto Aviles. All right. So we've got a lot to talk about.
We need sound effects. That would be that
A sound
yeah.
effect for a card.
I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't. Oh, actually, there is sounds. Look at that. See, I'm still learning on the fly. We're a few years in, and I'm still learning on the fly.
It's only been 5 years using StreamYard.
Our first comment is from Hitler Herons.Pedri Potter. He says Messi is injured, and Andrea is here to make of it what you will. There you go.
I told
Andrea
you. I
reaparece
told you.
Andrea reaparece en los momentos más oportunos. That's the perception. We'll talk about Messi and everything that has happened over the last few hours, or today, Wednesday. I want to hear your guys' insight as we go through the show about what you've seen from Inter Miami, the progress or lack thereof that they are making heading into the season opener. Not this weekend, but the following. We'll get to all of that. We'll get some takeaways from the most recent game. And we'll talk about, of course, what's left for Inter Miami in this preseason, because it's things have kind of flipped on a dime here. The switch has been flipped in pretty quick order. So before we get to the meat and potatoes, the good stuff, we have to talk about the biggest news of the day, and that is Inter Miami's new away jersey. I'm just joking. That's not actually the biggest news of the day, but this was revealed today. This is Inter Miami's new away kit for 2025. You can see that there's the Lowe's logo on the right sleeve. You got the Apple logo on the left sleeve, another monochromatic crest the big Adidas logo, Royal Caribbean down the middle, and the beloved star, the first glimpse of the star on the new away jersey. It has a collar with one single button, the Adidas stripes, 3 stripes in a gray or lighter black going down the shoulders. That's the marketing picture. This is more of what to expect. What do we think? 1 through 10. 1 through 10, Jose. 1 through 10. It's more of the same. It's more of the solid black with some pink, light pink.
I look. I think I have to see it in person first. That was actually my plan this morning. I wanted to go to the store, but since Messi was not available, everything changed. So I would probably do that next week. But from what you have shown, I'm not overly impressed. But I'm not disappointed either. So I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
6.5. Andrea, what do you think? 1 through 10.
I don't like it. I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
A 4.5.
I don't like that thing with those Adidas shirts with the button here and the cuello. How do you say this in English?
Collar?
The collar. I don't like it with the button here. I don't like it. I really don't like it. And maybe if that was pink or some other color, I would like it more. But I don't know. It feels like just
You needed more color.
The color maybe with a different color would work. I personally don't like. I like colors in football jerseys, but not with the button here. I hate that. So personally, I don't think it's a good shirt for a champion, but it's just personal taste. I like the star and how it looks on top of the logo, but it's not one of my favorite shirts from Inter Miami.
I think the combination between the gray and the black might make it classy when you have it like in person. It might look nice, and also like the design that we're not able to see in some of the
this is a better picture. The other picture I showed was
right.
the replica version. This is the authentic / player model that you can buy for almost $200 if you're really, really keen on getting it. This is the
I mean, you can tell there are some details that we need to get a closer look. So, I mean, that's why I wanted to go to the store and make my own video and kind of show it. But as of right now, I'm going to give it a 6.5. I'm not, like I said, I'm not like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Beautiful.
Like,
yeah,
I did like the pink one last year. I loved it.
Andrea, what number did you give it?
4.5. Let's say 5. 5.
I'm going to say it is a solid 3.5.
3?
You don't like it either.
3.5. I listen, man. It's more of the same.
It's not that bad. I mean, they have had the worst.
Jose,
no,
we've seen.
Yeah,
this
the
is the worst black one. This is
the other black one, half black, half gray. That
was horrible.
Jose, we've seen this exact same jersey how many times now? Like they have no other ideas that they can come up with. It's just black.
For me, the best one was La Palma. At least that had those details there and was a little bit different.
La Palma was the first one, right?
Yeah, the first one.
There was La Palma, La Noche, then the most recent
one.
Those
were better.
I just La Palma was good. La Palma was
I personally expected something without a color. I just don't like those colors with a button because it's a football jersey. It's not a polo. It's not something, I don't know. It's just personal taste, but it's, for me, they have better in the past, and I expected better because they are the champions, right? They should have a standout shirt.
This is planned out, I think, unless the process has changed. It's usually planned at least 2 years in advance. So it's not like they knew that they were gonna have this shirt.
Yeah, no, of course, because last year they had new shirts. So, and the MLS made an exception for them last year. So this year it returned to a normal rules, and they only have one new shirt. So but I like Jose said, I think I will have to see it and maybe. Listen, I've always said here in the podcast that I would like to see Inter Miami playing with a black shirt with the pink shorts, or something like that to make it like different.
Yeah, of course.
To make it just not the same and
make it pop.
Exactly. Just make it with
I've
something
actually,
different.
since we started the show again in 2026, I've been meaning to talk about this look, and I've just never had the time, or just always
Yeah, that
flip through
looks
the thing.
pretty.
That looks great. That new training top plus the shorts combo, that is fantastic
Exactly.
look. That is there's contrast. I'm just tired of this look. I'm tired of the black with very minimal pink. Like, I'm tired. The star looks great. I don't hate the collar, but it's just nothing special about this jersey. It's just another predominantly black jersey with a monochromatic crest and very little pink on it. So
You know what? I'm looking at all the Inter Miami black uniforms, and this is actually in the top 3.
there's like 5.
Right. So, I mean, this is. I mean, you're being very harsh, giving it a 3,
3.5. It's
three and
insane.
a half.
Give me
That's
something
very
new.
harsh.
Give me something new. It's like if we had breakfast at the Honduran restaurant after practice every single
Everything
time,
is a 10.
you would get tired of it, right? That's why we go to the Venezuelan spot sometimes. You know, you got to mix it up sometimes. Come on, man. We've got the same look over and over.
We only go there because it's Petro's business. We support our friend.
All right.
Yeah,
well, let's
but
get to.
I think that maybe if they do something different with the shorts or something like that,
That would be nice.
I would expect something different for it's just to make it different, because we're gonna see this shirt, and we have seen it today with teams presenting their uniforms and uniforms today. It's the same generic shirt for everyone,
No, but we have seen better.
some teams, yeah, but that's what I was gonna say. Some teams make them with details that make them pop. You cannot like them. You can like them, like with Seattle. I always like Seattle's shirts because they always take a risk, even though some people might not like their shirts because of the green and the blue and all of that. I do like.
What about
them
these
because
shirts?
they
What
make
about
an
these shirts
effort.
right here? What about these shirts?
The
Yeah,
blue
look at
one
that.
is pretty.
That
The
baby
blue one is
blue
pretty
with
cool.
the pinstripes. Yeah, look
Yes.
at Andrea rocking the white, Jose rocking the baby blue. Yeah, nice little throwback from last year. I don't know if we'll get a media game in 2026 at the new
Who knows,
stadium.
right?
Hopefully, but if we do, I hope I'm not on the black team because I could skip on that jersey. All right, let's get to the actual news of the day. Otherwise, we've already talked for like 6-7 minutes about jerseys. So the biggest news of the day, of course, is Lionel Messi confirmation that he did sustain an injury in this past weekend's 2-2 draw versus Barcelona SC in Ecuador. Now, Messi wasn't in practice during the first 15 minutes that were open to media. Of course, that becomes the biggest news of the day. We got to speak to Tadeo Allende, which we'll talk about later on as we talk about the preseason progress or lack thereof. But when I asked about Messi and if he had seen Messi in training during the week, this is what Tadeo Allende said. This was our only comments before it was confirmed that Messi was dealing with an injury.
Sí, al partido lo vi, pero sí lo vi ahí adentro, lo veo todos los días. Porque viene
Pero con el
a
equipo
entrenar.
estaba entrenando, lo viste en el
Lo vi
gimnasio.
adentro yo. Sí. Lo vi adentro.
Gracias.
Dale, gracias. So he says, I saw him inside, which would mean that he saw him what? In the gym? Is that how we're interpreting that?
Right. Yeah. I mean, we kind of knew that, since early in the morning because, I mean, I think Messi's sons and is it Luis Suarez? I don't know who else was there, but they were there. So we kind of knew he was there. We just didn't know exactly, in what capacity was he able to work with the team or on his own. We usually are able to tell because of how they set up like the cones around the training fields. But really, when we just got in and we noticed that Messi was not there, it was more about, wait, what's going on here? And we tried to figure things out. And but we knew that he was there. We knew that he was there.
So later in the day, after asking about Messi's status, it's confirmed that he has an injury. Now, in that game against Barcelona SC, Messi looked to be into some discomfort there. He didn't look 100% before being substituted in the 57th minute. Now, piecing together what we saw from game 1 to game 2, and then from game 2 to game 3. From game 1 to game 2, Messi played more minutes, right, in the second game than he did in the first game. And Mascherano talked about building his load, right? Well, from game 2 to game 3, that load decreased. He didn't increase what he did in game 2, and there were signs of discomfort before he came off, which could lead you to believe that there was some injury of sort. Well, again, that gets confirmed via this press release from Inter Miami's communications department. It reads, quote, Inter Miami has provided an injury update presented by Baptist Health for Captain Lionel Messi. Messi did not participate in training this Wednesday, February 11th, due to a muscle strain in his left hamstring sustained during the match against Barcelona SC in Ecuador, which has persisted since then. The player underwent medical tests that confirmed the diagnosis. His gradual return to training will depend on his clinical and functional progress in the coming days. End quote. So no timetable for recovery, but they say the coming days. Jose, I know you put out a video today on Twitter about Messi's injury. What can you share with us as to what is the information before we get into our suppositions or our thoughts about in general about the whole thing? What is the information at hand as of today, Wednesday, February 11th?
Well, first of all, I think it's pretty evident that it's not that big a deal. At this point in the season, we just have to understand this is preseason, and also this is a World Cup year. So Messi's not going to take any chances. Inter Miami is not going to take any chances. This is a situation where you have one more game left in preseason. You have another week to recover before the LAFC game. I mean, why would you rush? I mean, you have Conca Champions coming up in March. Priority really as it stands right now for Inter Miami and for Messi, if you want to base it on MLS or other competition other than the World Cup, is to be available for the Conca Champions, and even if you push it further a little more to opening Miami Freedom Park, Messi needs to be there for that match. So, they're taking it slow. What I've heard is that they believe it's not that big a deal, and they'd rather be cautious right now rather than risking an injury that will take him off the field for much, much longer, which, in my opinion, it makes sense. So I would say he should be back pretty soon. And the fact that and this is something that we talked about before we came on air, the fact that they changed the Puerto Rico game to February 26th rather than just, postpone it for later in the season, that leads me to believe that or at least they think that he will be available for that match. Although, how this type of injuries are, you for a moment you feel like you're okay, then you jog onto the field and then you just make it worse. So they're just being very cautious.
Claudio Rabsten 7179 says it's his hamstring issue again. It's been that since 2012. Well, Messi la cicatriz del Tata. Messi definitely has had niggling injuries here and there over his time with Inter Miami. Last year, I think he maintained his health for much of the year, but yeah, he's definitely had his share of injuries since signing back in. What was that? 2023.
He's getting older.
Oh, of course, absolutely. It makes sense. It makes sense. Jose, I asked you for the information, and you gave me a bunch of supposition. I asked you straight for the information.
I gave you the information. The expectation is for him to be back before the February 26th game, taking it slow.
But will he be ready for the season opener? That is the question.
I think that is hard to tell at this point. It's hard to tell.
Well, how is it hard to tell if they know he's going to be ready for the 26th, which is 5 days later?
Well, 5 days is a lot of time when it comes to that type of injury.
So then he's likely.
He could come back. Let's say he can come back to full training in a week from now, which would be Wednesday or Thursday next week. That might not be enough for Saturday, but it could be enough for Tuesday or Wednesday from the following week, because you'll have one full week of training. So that's it's 5 days, but it's plenty of time to have a clear indication as to if he's ready or not.
Okay, es hora de su posición. Andrea, supposition time, because host is giving us some circles there. He's talking in circles. What do you think? What do you think, Andrea? What are your thoughts? Right, we know the news, right? He's
I think we
not
knew
playing.
since he came out from the game. You could, if you've been following Messi and if you're a Messi fan, you know he doesn't want to come out, even though it's a friendly. He's usually plays them all. So people were on high alert since that game because he came out and you could see he had a molestia. And when we didn't see him training today, then for me it was obvious. The thing is, with Inter Miami, you know, the contract obligations that they have because of Messi, those that is the thing that matters. And I think that the team was crafting the response or trying to get everything together because he even tweeted that the game was canceled and then that it was moved because people, the organizers, I'm 100% sure that they didn't want to play the game without Messi, right? Because he's the principal asset that they have and the principal selling ticket point and all of that. So they knew that Messi was injured and they were trying to find a solution for that game. I think he may get to for the first game against LAFC, but I think it depends on when he trains and how he's feeling. You know, he always wants to play because he has said that, and I think he has shown that a lot of times here in Inter Miami, even though he has had a lot of injuries. He's interested in playing, and as Jose said, this is a World Cup year. I think that is also a factor that will play into seeing if he can be ready for that game against LAFC because you know it's not only the game but how many trainings will he have under his belt and also the trip because you have to go all the way to LA. And one thing I'm going to say, we are not going to know this until maybe hours before because this game is going to be played in the Coliseum. And they cannot announce that Messi is going to miss it because you know what that would mean. I think LAFC could fill the Coliseum even without
No
Messi
way.
because they have a lot of
LAFC is
fans.
popular, but not that popular.
I think they could feel it, but who knows? We're gonna see. But I don't think it's going to be announced like people would expect a week earlier. Like you could say, or we could get a straight response from Mascherano. Is he going to play? Because we have to understand that with Messi, the business side, everything depends on him. Because before you used to have the problem with Inter Miami this year is that last year you used to have Sergio Busquets and you used to have Jordi Alba, and Sergio Busquets is also a World Cup winner, but it's not just about being a World Cup winner because Rodrigo de Paul is also a World Cup winner, but no one is going to go and pay to see Rodrigo de Paul. But you went and paid to see Sergio Busquets because he was one of the best in his position in the history of the game. But right now they don't have that. They don't have Busquets. They don't have Jordi Alba. They don't have that second a player that could take that attention, that could substitute Messi on being the face of Inter Miami because De Paul, unfortunately, even though he's a world champion, is not loved like Sergio Busquets was or as Jordi Alba, even though he's not a world champion, was. So now everything falls on Messi. So I don't think we're gonna get a straight answer if he's going to be ready for LAFC. We can speculate, like Jose was saying. This is una semana. I could tell you in una semana he's gonna be able to train, but then you have to take into account the trips, and then he has a trip to Puerto Rico after that LAFC game, and then they have a trip to Orlando because they're gonna play all their first matches away. So it's something to take into account and something to think about because Messi needs to be ready, not just for Inter Miami, but for the World Cup and for the opening of the stadium. They're not gonna risk him.
So I will say this, right? Because this is not we're away from the information. Now it's supposition and sensations, las sensaciones.
De Drake.
Inside joke. Listen, anything Inter Miami tells us with regards to injuries is something that I think it's fair to question, because they haven't always been the most forthcoming when it comes to injuries. Even in the press release that I just read, there's no timetable for recovery, and they clearly have that. Internally, they have that. Now, publicly, they don't want to share that. That's their prerogative. We've talked about that for years, about the lack of transparency. We won't bang that drum any further here. I think it's fair to question whether what they're saying is true, it's honest. Look, if he wasn't in the 15 minutes, the opening 15 minutes today, that means he didn't train with the group at all, right? We didn't even see him off to the side doing individual work, which maybe he did do that once we left. But that means if he's not training with the group, is he going to be ready to train with the group in 3, 4, 5 days time to prepare for the LAFC opener? And they're going to push him when he's got an injury, when you're coming off of an injury, you're going to push him in a World Cup year. I think there's very serious doubts whether he plays in that game against LAFC next weekend. I have very serious doubts whether he makes it. We'll know on Friday if he's on the on the charter, if he's on the plane, if you see a picture of him with the group. Although, normally if they post him, he's there. If they don't post him, it's normally because he's not there. You'll definitely get confirmation on Saturday when he either posts or doesn't post, per his Apple contract, from what it seems, a promotional Instagram story of him in the matchup. But then you'll know for sure.
But we should also get the roster from MLS.
Yeah, this week
5
is the
o'clock,
roster and
5
compliance
o'clock previous
deadline.
on Friday, next Friday.
Yeah, but I think there's one thing that we're missing here. This injury did not happen today. It happened
In the
on
game,
Saturday.
said it. Yeah.
So, if he felt something on Saturday, I'm sure he got treatment on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's likely that he'll be back next week. It is possible for him to start training on Monday.
Possible, but do they push him if he's coming off?
No, you don't even have
injury?
to push him if it's not as serious. I mean, we have seen him get injuries that we always think the worst, because of what happened. When was it? The Copa America year. That year was terrible for him because preseason was terrible that year. So he wasn't ready. And that year, whenever he got injured, it was bad. Last year, he had a couple of injuries that, prevented him from training, but they weren't that bad. He was back within days, so that could pretty much be the case again. I would say right now, I'm on the complete opposite side from you. I say he plays against LAFC.
Does he start?
Yes.
So he
I
plays
think
and
he starts against LAFC. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Hey, that's a fair prediction. That's fair. We'll see. We'll see in a few days' time. We'll know more next week. But I have serious questions. How this impacts Inter Miami, Jose, in terms of their final preseason preparation. Again, we'll talk in just a moment about the Puerto Rico game being postponed and what that all entails, what that all means, because there's implications there that go beyond just the rescheduling. But what does this do for Inter Miami in terms of their preseason preparation, for Javier Mascherano as well? Because he hasn't had the full complement of players, which I feel like tends to happen in these winter windows, which is one of the reasons maybe they're trying to switch, or they're going to switch the calendar. But obviously they're not going to have a proper exhibition, un amistoso así fino, with the whole group. So what does that do for Inter Miami going into not necessarily MLS regular season, but more importantly, the CONCACAF Champions Cup?
Well, I don't think it's that big a deal. I mean, well, initially, the Puerto Rico thing, it's more a commercial, thing. They have to go there because they got paid to go there. So that's where they're going on the 26th. But in terms of preseason, I think, it should be a very easy fix. There are so many teams in South Florida or in Florida these days during preseason that they can very easily set up a closed-door friendly for Saturday or Sunday, and that's it.
I'm sure they will.
Yes, they'll get that done. Even if they don't find another MLS team or USL team, they can play against the second team. And all they need is minutes at this point. And I'm sure, Mascherano wants Tadeo to get back on track as quickly as possible. Well, I don't think Berterame, could play that game. Even though, no, I don't think he could play. But I know he cannot play that game. But even if he gets his visa and everything done, then he might get a few minutes there. So it should be a pretty easy fix, in my opinion.
Andrea, does this put Inter Miami behind the 8 ball for CONCACAF Champions Cup, in your opinion? Not being able to have Messi now that Tadeo's back, because Tadeo wasn't with the group for these first 3 friendlies. Tadeo's in, now Messi's out. Does that put Inter Miami behind the 8 ball for CONCACAF Champions Cup?
Yeah, of course. For preseason, no, but for CONCACAF Champions Cup, yes. Because if Messi is missing that rhythm with his new teammates, because listen, last year he had Busquets, who knew him. He had Jordi Alba, who was when everything was going wrong, you could always count on a Jordi Alba ball finding Lionel Messi for him to score or to assist someone. So he doesn't have that now, and there's a bunch of new players that need to build their chemistry with Messi. Obviously, Messi is not the problem, but Messi is the best player on the team. So without him, Inter Miami will always struggle. So I think it's important for him to come back as soon as possible for him, for them to be able to take that advantage of not having to play the first round of the Conca Champions and get into the tournament with rhythm, because that's the problem with MLS teams in this moment, that you see them go and they have no rhythm because they are still, the majority of them, in preseason. So he will have those matches in MLS before having to play that game in the beginning of March or in the middle of March. So it's going to be important that he's well and that his teammates, especially the new teammates, the new midfield especially, because you don't have anyone that can replace Busquets, and you don't have any, and the replacement you brought for Jordi Alba is injured. So it's important for Mascherano especially to get his team, to get all these new players especially, to get ready and to know Messi, to know how he acts, to know what he expects on the field. So if Messi's injury is not resolved as quickly as we are thinking, it could be a problem, of course.
But how much time can
for
really
Inter
affect
Miami.
them? I mean, are we talking about a month, 2 months? I mean,
Well, it's a month. It's
if it's
almost
even if it's a
28
month,
days for their first game, or less, I think, in the Champions Cup. I think it's the 18th, the first one, or the second one. I remember the second one is the 18th, right? So put it that the first one is a week before, so it could make a difference, especially because they don't
if
know
he doesn't
Messi.
play, it makes a difference. But if
Of
he
course.
plays,
Yeah, we were talking if he misses
it's
all these games.
Look,
Oh, of course,
I don't
but if
think,
he misses-
I don't think it's a matter of, if Messi doesn't train with the team, that his impact's gonna be reduced when he does
Right.
come back.
yeah,
I don't think that's
No,
the case.
it's a matter
But
of the
I agree with
players
you.
not knowing,
I agree with you,
knowing
Andre. I
how
agree
to
with you
act.
100%. I'm Jose and I continue to disagree on this week's show. I'm with you, Andrea, that I think not having him at this point, once you finally got all the rest of the pieces in place, that does hurt Inter Miami as a collective. Yeah, sure, you can plug Messi in and he has his magic and he has his moments, but collectively, can you function? I mean, has Inter Miami played that well? Have you seen enough progress in from game to game over these 3 matches? With Tadeo Allende, now you have Germán Berterame, who has different movements. There was one play, and again, it was his first appearance with the team when I was in Colombia, and I don't know if the camera caught it. There was one play where he made a run into space and the ball went completely somewhere else. So clearly, that understanding takes time. It's not it's not FIFA. It's not you just plug in the players and they automatically know how to play with one another. No, it takes time to develop.
I mean, they were not going to fix that even if Messi played on Friday.
No, but
And
they're
then
going to
again,
know him better.
It's
because
only a few games
play-
before they
play
get
Friday.
on
They
the
play
field for Conca
Friday.
Champions.
They play against LAFC, then they play
And
against
by the way,
Orlando.
Berterame, as it stands right now, he wouldn't be available for the Friday match.
Correct.
No, we're talking, Jose, if the
So-
injury makes Messi miss more time than what you're expecting. We're
Yeah,
not
but
talking
I mean,
about
I don't
Friday.
see it. I just don't see it because the rest of the team
February
he knows
only
already.
has 28 days. We're almost
And
done
this
with
team-
this month.
This team plays for Messi and around Messi, and whatever Messi does,
That
everybody should
this
accommodate.
team used to play. These are new players. You have Rodrigo de Paul in the middle, but Rodrigo de Paul is no Sergio Busquets, and he will never be.
Right.
It's a different look. It's a different tactical setup, and I do think it does.
We don't even
hurt
know
your
what
tactics.
Mascherano will choose to play.
I think the
How-
main problem for this team, and maybe I'm moving aside from the topic, the main thing for Mascherano right now is figuring out who takes Jordi Alba's job, and how
There's no
effective.
Allen.
No. But I mean, yeah, we know. I mean, you can put Allen, Lujan, Mora, whoever you want to put there. But what is that player going to do to replace whatever Jordi Alba gave to this team last year or the past couple of years? I mean, that's a big miss. And I noticed that in the previous game where Messi, he was so used to looking to the left and finding Jordi Alba that, initially there's a beautiful ball that he puts into Noah Allen and then Noah Allen misses it. But then the following play, he has the ball and now he thinks about it. And he knows Jordi Alba is not there and he takes his time to evaluate where the ball should go. So I think that part is something that they need to figure out. In my opinion, I
Jose
believe
disagreed with us.
For example, Jose,
You
let
just
me tell
agreed
you
with us,
this.
Jose.
Yeah, you
Jose,
disagree
just
with
agreed
us.
with us.
But
right, but I
let
think,
me tell you
but
this.
that's a
An
minimal
example.
part of the game.
You put it. You said an example with Jordi Alba, but an example, David Ayala, that you brought him to replace or to help in with the midfield. Have you seen anything from David Ayala in these matches that he has participated in?
As it
that
stands right now, David Ayala is
no.
not a starter for this
So
team.
he
Mura
that's what
is
we
not a
mean.
starter for
He
this team.
doesn't have chemistry with Messi. He doesn't know how Messi plays. You can have watched every highlight video for Messi and being a fan of Barcelona and of Argentina and all of that. But to play with Messi is just a completely different animal. And he missing some trainings and building up with all these new guys, David Ayala, Mora, and even Berterame. It's going to be difficult because they know, of course, Messi and they have watched his goals and everything, but that is one thing. And one thing is to come and learn, because they have to come and learn to how to play with him, how he wants.
I don't know.
Like if you talk to Yannick Bright, he tells you, I've learned to do this and to do that because Busquets has told me and Messi told me that he likes it this way. He likes me to turn and to do this. These players are not going to be able if Messi
Didn't
needs,
David Ruiz,
needs-
Andrea, to your point, didn't David Ruiz at one point when Messi first came
Right,
have
yeah.
feedback that he shared with us from Messi in terms of
Yeah.
slowing down and
Right.
thinking more?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're
I
not
mean-
gonna get that. These new guys don't know that still. So
Who are the
Messi
new
getting
guys
injured
that you
but
guys
I think
mean,
it's
who are you
Jose,
talking about?
I think it's not necessarily
because
just the new faces.
you lost Jordi and Busquets.
I think it's
Those
that.
were the main guys.
I think it's more that than necessarily just the new phase. Right? I do
Exactly.
think Berterame needs to develop chemistry with the other attackers. I do think that needs to happen. But I also think it's about a team understanding how they're going to play in this new era without Jordi Alba. You touched on his importance on that left wing, right? You don't have that anymore. No one's going to give you that contribution, that output on the left wing. Nobody. Right. So now you got to find a different way to compensate for that. So I mean,
somebody
Inter
has
Miami-
to give you something from
right.
that
So
position.
Inter Miami was probably going to play a 4-3-3 this year, probably if everyone was healthy, right? So you don't have that bombarding left back, but maybe you have a left winger like Silvetti on one side, Tadeo Allende on another side, or maybe a Messi and Allende and Berterame on top. Whatever the case was, there had to be some new repetition, some new patterns of play, patrones de juego. And now you haven't had a chance to work on that to this point with everybody in camp because someone's always been missing. I do think that hurts.
But so if you don't have enough time to work on something different, then what you do? You go back to what you have already established, which
but
is
you don't
a
have the
4-4-2.
same pieces.
It would be
But
a
you don't have the same
4-4-2.
pieces. Sure, okay.
Look, listen to me. Listen to me. If we set the team this way, Sinclair, Ian Frey, Peluca, I would include Lujan, but let's say they put Mikael and Allen, right?
Mhm.
So we want to set up a 4-4-2 defensively. What do we do with the middle of the field? Allende, De Paul, Bright or Ayala, and on the left side, Silvetti. At the top, Messi and Berterame. If you want to move this same formation, moving ahead, then you do 4-2-3-1. I mean, you put Messi in the middle. Messi is pretty much capable of setting up any player in the world. So he will be able to set
but
up
the Messi is not the
Berterame.
problem. It's the other guys.
Right. Listen to me. So he will be able to set up Berterame without a problem. He knows Silvetti on the left side. He knows Allende on the right side. And behind him, he knows Pride and he knows Rodrigo de Paul. Yes, there will be little things that he might not be able to, figure out in a game or two with Berterame or with Noah Allen as he moves forward. But those things shouldn't be deciding factors. It might be a
It's going
situation
to
where
be
he
when
fits
you
the
have
ball
to play an
where he
important
doesn't.
game,
That's
an
about it.
elimination game, as soon as in 3 weeks. Of course it matters. If Messi is not training with them, I understand what you're saying, but the topic here is that Messi is injured. We don't know when he's going to be back. We're speculating that he's going to be back before the LAFC game, but we cannot, neither of us can sit here and say he's going to play against LAFC. Because we don't know.
Con certeza no lo sabemos.
Yeah, we don't. So that could be a problem for the team, not because Messi is obviously the best player on the team, but because of the new pieces that Mascherano has to work with.
But he knows everybody around him.
I don't want to pick on Jose, but I think you're oversimplifying it. I don't think it's just that easy. As you go to 4-4-2 and everything's the same, because it's not the same, because you don't have Jordi Alba giving you that attacking threat on the left. You don't have Sergio Busquets relieving pressure and generating play.
So you cannot use the same setup from last year. That worked.
Jose, you can use the
same
but
you don't have the same capacity, as the Meme says. We don't have the capacity.
We're talking about Messi. We're talking about Messi.
Messi. The problem is who you surround him with.
Jose, Inter Miami won MLS Cup because they changed their way of playing, and it wasn't just on Messi, right? That was their best moment last year in the playoffs, right? That they changed. So no one's saying that Messi can't be Messi in a 4-4-2 with the way you're lo estás planteando. No one's saying that can't happen. But is the rest of the team going to function to the level that it needs to? I think listen, everyone has their opinion. Listeners will maybe agree with you. Some will agree with us. I just don't agree with that. I think you lose a lot in
Nashville. It's not like they play in America or any
other powerhouse.
Jose, they could play Atletico Ottawa, Jose. Don't go in your victories, right?
Yes, that's true. I'm sorry, Atletico Ottawa.
Is it sobre or subestimando? Subestimando, I think. You're underestimating the opposition.
Right, but what I'm saying is Nashville is going to be in a similar situation. There's no MLS team within this competition that will be 100%. That's for sure. So regardless whether Messi has 5 weeks or 6 weeks of preseason, they will still need more time.
If they get eliminated early in CONCACAF Champions Cup, I don't want you then to criticize and say, "Oh, they failed," because you're saying that they can just throw them on the field and it's going to work.
Yeah, they're going to go to.
All right,
well, they can get it done.
Let's switch gears to, because we're already talking about it, right? So you guys, especially, I'm going to start with Andrea because it's her first appearance this year, first appearance in a couple months.
6 months.
What have you seen from this team in preseason? Have you seen the progress that you would expect from game to game? Obviously, they're not going to be a finished product. There's always going to be rough patches, rough moments. In this game against Barcelona, they had the lead, they gave it up late, but result aside, rendimiento, performance, collectively, funcionamiento, team functioning, have you seen enough progress from game to game, in your opinion?
Well, I think I couldn't give you a definitive answer because the personnel has not been all available or has been the same from the first game to the last game. So they didn't look the same as they did in Peru against Atlético Nacional and against Barcelona, right? Because in Peru they looked bad.
It's the first game.
That injury, they had that injury and everything. And then you kept bringing new guys that were coming in or guys returning that were fixing their papers. So it's pretty difficult to say if they have really made a progress because we haven't seen a constant that you would say, okay, we can speculate because we know the team from last year that these are going to be the starters, but they haven't had besides Messi and his extraordinary goal, like a collective, enough collective play for them, for me to say, oh yes, I've seen some progress. I think it's difficult to see that with
Tarjeta Maria por Andrea for not giving me an answer. You did not give me an answer.
Okay,
listen,
no.
it's fine. If you don't have an answer,
I
that's
don't-
okay. Mira,
I don't think they-
a veces
I
you have to
haven't
commit a
seen-
tactical foul.
I haven't seen. I couldn't say there's zero progress because Mascherano has made changes and has tried stuff, but since he doesn't have all personnel available for X or Y razón, I couldn't give you like a grading. I couldn't grade it like, yes, I've seen this get gradually better.
¿Le saco la roja o no le saco la roja? She's just doing the same thing. Jose, before we go to you, we're going to listen to Mascherano because after the game against Barcelona SC de Ecuador, he talked about el rendimiento, the performance. Now that I rolled my R's, I don't think I said Miami Total Football Radio at the beginning of the show. I don't think I did that, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But let's listen to Mascherano before we go to your analysis, Jose, because this is what Mascherano had to say about the collective performance. He said he used his I won't say his famous, but one of his go-to lines of, we don't judge the results, we judge the performances, like insinuating that other people just judge the results.
But when he won, he said, well, it's important to win.
Well, let's listen to Mascherano, then we'll go to your analysis.
En líneas generales me voy conforme, creo que hemos hecho inclusive un mejor partido que el otro día. A veces el resultado suele tapar el análisis del partido, pero nosotros que solemos analizar el juego y no los resultados, creo que claramente hemos seguido en esta línea de crecimiento y bueno, las sensaciones son buenas.
Las sensaciones. So the sensations are good.
He said the same thing that I said, and you were red carding me.
No. He said he has seen growth from
game
to. He's seen growth from game to game. And I'm translating for the people that don't speak or understand Spanish. He said that, again, those that analyze performances is different than those that analyze results, and that sometimes the result masks the performance, which we that part we can agree on. Jose, before you give me your full-blown analysis, I'm just going to ask you some very simple yes or no questions.
Okay.
Did you see progress from game 1 against Alianza Lima, the 3-0 loss, to game 2, the 2-1 win versus Atlético Nacional? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see progress from game 2, the 2-1 win versus Atlético Nacional in Medellín, Colombia, and game 3, the 2-2 draw versus Barcelona SC? Not from a result, just performance.
No. Yeah, for me the best game was the Atlético Nacional game. That was the best game.
So I'm gonna disagree with you again, Jose, because I don't think that the second game, they didn't play well in that first half against Atlético Nacional. Unless maybe you think they played well. I don't think they played well.
Better. They made progress in that game from the first game.
I agree with that.
That was the question.
I don't think it was their. I think from 2 to 3 there was also progress. I agree with Mascherano that there was growth. I just don't think there's enough growth. And for me, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts. For me, there's a huge question mark on Mascherano this year. Right? Last year they won MLS Cup, and everyone's happy and content with the job that he's done. But we know that their best run in the playoffs came with Suarez coming out of the lineup. And Suarez only came out of the lineup because of your boy, Andy Najar, kicking out and getting Suarez suspended.
Andy Najar, the foundation for Inter Miami's title.
Thank you, Honduras. If that doesn't happen, then Suarez probably not getting benched, and you probably don't have this amazing version of Inter Miami that we saw during that stretch run in the playoffs. So I have big question marks for Mascherano because before that change happened, we all had questions about the style of play, about how far they would get if they.
But you have to give him credit. I mean,
I can't
it's
give him
one
credit. I
thing to
cannot
do
give him
it.
credit for that.
No, but I mean, it's one thing to do it for one game and then to make the decision to bench him for the rest of the season, basically. You know, I mean, there were plenty of games after that incident, so I think
How
it's
many games?
I mean, the entire playoffs, the Nashville series was
Right,
the
but they
first
played
the
so
first
well
round.
without Suarez. Yeah, it was a tough decision to make, but he had
2 games
he
more,
had
or 3
something to hang
games.
on to. Anyway, Jose, going back to the question about preseason, right? You said yes from 1 to 2, no from 2 to 3. I disagree with you there, but that's fine. Overall, on the whole, are you thinking that Inter Miami's trending in a positive direction heading into the start of meaningful games?
I think it's similar to what we saw last year. My criticism for Mascherano in this preseason in particular is regarding some of the new players that came in, like Facundo Mura. I don't think we have seen enough from him. So, I think that's one player that I guess, he could have given more a bigger chance, even though Ian Frey played well the last game. So it was tough to take him off the field. But it's preseason, so you kind of have to make those decisions. Then obviously there were some visa issues, so players were not available. I think overall, it's an okay preseason. It's an okay preseason, but I see the team trending more towards what they were last year than having a different setup or a different look. That might come later on in the season, and maybe that's part of the plan because of what Jorge Mas said before the final. He wants to win Conca Champions. He made the moves, the team made the moves to have a competitive team for now, and maybe Mascherano is thinking, I'm going to still work on what I'm going to do a continuation from what we had last year so that we're ready as quickly as possible rather than changing things a lot more, which he will obviously have more time because this year there's no Club World Cup. So, after Conca Champions, he basically has the rest of the regular season to prepare the team for the playoffs.
So where I will add something there is talking about the totality of the group, the collective, el funcionamiento. We've talked in recent days and even the last couple of weeks on our beloved WhatsApp group about certain players, right? And one of them is Telasco Segovia, right? And you and I, we both agree, I think, that he hasn't necessarily had a great preseason from at least the games, from the performances in the games, right? So there we agree. For the first time on this show, we agree on this episode. But if you had your first choice players at every position, Telasco Segovia is probably not starting. Today, you and I discussed this after training, and you said that he would be the super sub, right?
Right.
And I said, yeah, along with Luis Suarez, those are probably your two attacking super subs, your attacking weapons, right? So once Tadeo is back, right, which he is now, he goes into the starting lineup, however you want to do it, 4-3-3, 4-4-2, and Telasco Segovia comes out. But Segovia's been in there and hasn't looked great. You look at other positions. Ian Frey, I thought, had a very good game against Barcelona SC from that right back position that he was occupying. A lot of nice outlet passes to Messi. Then he got forward. There was one where Messi fed him the ball in close, and it should have led to a shot on goal, but Ian Frey was slightly offside. But I liked what I saw from Ian Frey at right back. Facundo Mura, don't know. He's a big question mark for me, like you said.
As it stands right now, I think it's Ian Frey, right? I mean, look.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Mascherano will start Mura eventually. But as it stands right now, I think that's Ian Frey's job.
I think with Mora, the thing is, it's difficult for a player coming from another league to get in line with that. And we've seen, and they keep bringing the same type of player, same type of defender as Lujan, as Avilés. I think Falcón is, you can consider, in my opinion, you can consider Falcón their only acierto, because Falcón has been the pillar of the defense for Inter Miami. But then you have brought all these guys that are practically the same, guys that can play in a lot of positions but cannot cannot become starters because
But we haven't
Noah
seen Muda
Allen
for too long.
and Ian Frey les comen el mandado. It
But
happened
what
with
you
Noah
have seen,
last
have you been
year.
impressed?
And I haven't been impressed. So I think Ian Frey has that advantage that we have seen him play, and he's a player that can become a World Cup player. So for Inter Miami, and for Mascherano, it would be for me a no-brainer to keep him instead of someone that still doesn't get the system and doesn't get the league and clearly is struggling to take that place.
Ian Frey is a boss, man. How many
Yeah.
preseasons have we seen him just be one of the best players in games? Just like a gamer. He just
Yeah.
steps up and thought he had a really good game.
Since we
against
saw him the
Barcelona
first
this
time and we
That's what I'm
said
saying.
he was
He's-
gonna be a good one.
We've said this for many preseasons that Ian Frey
Yes.
is having a great preseason. Dane St. Clair, goalkeeper, starting goalkeeper, MLS goalkeeper of the year, has not had a great preseason. In
Not
this
at
last
all.
game, comes out looking for a corner kick and he completely misjudges the ball and it gets to the back post. Headed finish over Yannick Bright. I mean, completely on Dane St. Clair there. And clearly he's still getting acclimated, getting adjusted, adapting to his new
I think he needs a
surroundings.
tutor. The quickest he gets a Spanish teacher, a Spanish tutor, it's going to be better because I was watching him in training today and the trainer just speaks Spanish. El preparador de arqueros is just speaking Spanish because the other guys just speak Spanish and he's like
At Bad
trying
Bunny
to-
concert, he's got to learn his Spanish, man. You know, you
he
got to learn his Spanish.
learn his Spanish.
Si
Exactly.
no, tarjeta amarilla para Dane St. Clair. Si no,
Exactly.
But
If
you know
not,
what?
Le
And-
comen el mandado.
But you know,
casi mundial.
there's also Rocco Rios Noah is an MLS champion. You know, he played the entirety of the playoffs.
Yeah,
So,
but Dane
I
St.
think
Clair
that's
is
I know,
a
I know.
national team player. Jose.
National team player, goalkeeper of the year, and then might be a starter in the World Cup. So it would make sense to
He
start.
is the starter
Clair.
of the World Cup right now, as
Right,
it stands.
we don't know as it stands. That's why I said it might be because we don't know what could happen from now until June.
Right, if you say that, then Lamine Yamal is gonna be a suplente. If we say that,
He could be the starter for Spain. So
I get Jose's point.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
But
It-
with
it's
Inter
St. Clair's
Miami,
job.
that can happen because we've seen that happen to Drake Callender. He was in the national team, and all of a sudden he lost everything. So Dane St. Clair,
my
has
problem
a
with
lot
the
of
with
pressure.
the with Inter Miami defensively stands with Mikael. And
here we
and-
go. We're picking on Mikael.
No.
You've
And
been
it's-
picking on
it's
Mikael
just
all
the same.
preseason,
They
Jose.
bring the
Look,
same
you're laughing
defender.
because you know it. You know it's true. You've been picking on pobre Mikael.
I don't know. I'm just not
Porque fala
convinced.
Portugués or no, I don't know what it is. But you're just picking
I'm
on
But he
not-
doesn't
I'm not
say
convinced.
anything about David Ayala
David
or
Ayala, who
Moura.
got a
He's
red card.
defending
David,
them,
no,
but
I said it about
Mikael-
Moura.
David Ayala got a red card in this last game. And
That was not
helped.
a red card, by the way.
Bueno, but they gave
It
him
was
a red
not.
card. They gave him a red card, and that helped Barcelona find the late equalizer.
Ayala doesn't start on my team. Yannick Bright starts on my team.
Yannick Bright has to start on this team. I think.
I don't know.
it's
I
right.
don't know if he will, but
Yeah, the thing it's the same
he
as
does.
Sinclair. I'm telling you, the passport counts for something in this team, and those guys, unfortunately, even though they're homegrown and everything, they don't seem that doesn't seem to count in this team, especially.
the one thing that I would change from this team, well, I already gave you my starting 11, which I feel very comfortable with. But the one thing that I would do in the
Oof,
next
put
week
one-
or so, I would go to the USL and look for the best left back in the league. The best left back in the league between 24 and 28 years old. The one that might be the closest to the MLS level. And I'll bring him over. I'll let him
no
know,
faith
hey,
in no Allen.
you're going to come here. You might not play, but you'll still get an opportunity every now and then.
No faith in no
Because-
Allen.
Honestly, it's not a Noah. I like Noah. It's not a Noah. Noah
know.
will still be my starter.
No, you sound like Mascherano when he doesn't start Suarez. Todos los
But
juegos son importantes. It's not about
who I don't
quality of
trust-
minutes, quantity of minutes, quality of minutes.
Who I don't trust right now is Reguilon. When you're off for months, You play the first game, you get hurt, then you need another month to recover, and then you probably need another month to get in game shape.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not a good recipe. How many times have we seen that in soccer and football? We have seen that so many times where players struggle to get back in game shape. So I think that's what's going to happen to Reguilon this year. You know, he's going to take a lot of time. So I think they need a backup plan for the left back.
It's Noah Allen. Noah Allen's the backup.
Right, but I mean,
You
Noah
clearly are
Allen
not
can still
convinced.
get hurt, and then
You're
you're going to
clearly
have to
not
play
convinced.
Lujan.
No,
or
di la
Julia.
cosa como son, Jose. You're not convinced by Noah Allen at left back.
I'm not convinced with Noah Allen as he moves forward, but I think he can work along with Silvetti. Now, listen, I'm telling you, they're going to bring. What I'm asking is for them to bring a USL player. So I'm not telling you that that's going to solve all the problems. I'm just telling you they need to have somebody else. They need another player there.
The disrespect is real for Noah Allen. Look, I'll say this about Noah Allen. His role has not been easy because he's gone from left back when he started to playing center back in recent years, and now he's got to switch back to left back. And again, this is not FIFA. This is not a video game. It's not EAFC, which I know Jose loves to play. I hate that freaking game. It's not easy just to flip that switch and just go back and forth and tactically adapt and get used to the repetitions and all that. They're completely different positions, require completely different things. And I'm not saying Noah Allen's going to be Jordi Alba light. I think he can do the job. I think it's not going to be him that has to provide service in the attack. I think it's going to be up to others. His job should just be to be an outlet on that left wing, like Ian Frey is on the right side. Ian Frey, normally you don't see him whipping crosses or playing balls in dangerous positions. He did find Messi in good spots, and then Messi did his dribbling magic against Barcelona. But normally Ian
we
Frey's
saw him
not.
Last year also. Ian Frey did a good job, I think.
He does a good job of getting forward, but he's not someone that, oh man, what a great cross he whipped in, or what a ball he played to spring someone in. Miami King 68 in the comment section disagrees with Jose. Says Bright is not good enough to start. Sorry, would rather start Segovia over Bright. That's probably Fernando Petrocelli.
I don't agree with that. I think Telasco is not a good player to defend. Inter Miami needs Yannick Bright 100% on the field. I think the question here is to see who can take the place of Sergio Busquets, because
I think that one's easy to figure out. That's gonna be Bright or Ayala.
Yeah, but none of those two are gonna have. What I mean is, none of those.
Nobody's
two are
gonna be like
prepared to take the responsibilities that Busquets had in attack to begin the game, to be the person that gets the ball forward.
Nobody's gonna do that.
So they don't have.
If you find that player, you'll die looking for the player.
Yeah, no.
You're never.
Maybe you can get Alejandro Pozuelo back or something like that.
No, imposible.
Even Pozuelo is.
No,
Pozuelo...
it's hard. It's gonna be, for me, the biggest. Everyone talks about Jordi because of Messi, but for the construction of the game, that's why I said at the beginning. For me, the biggest thing is Sergio Busquets retiring, because it's just the ball is not just that player, and he's an important player with Argentina and being world champions, not because he was indispensable on the field, because there are in that Argentina midfield, there are players who are good as in the level of Busquets, like McAllister, obviously, and Messi. So he's not that important, but he has not been that player in his whole career. But Busquets was, and I don't think the Pol is going to be ready to take that place, and I don't think either Bright or Ayala are ready to. Well, take that place.
Mascherano has not directly compared David Ayala to Busquets, but he has kind of said the characteristics are similar, the profile is similar, which, I mean, I think that's a huge. I'm not saying. Listen, no one's saying. No, wait, hold on. Let's be fair to David Ayala. No one's saying David Ayala has to be Sergio Busquets, but if he's still asked to do half of what Busquets did, that's still a tall ask of a young player like David Ayala. I'm sorry. That's just, to me, that's a tall task. Maybe he has it in him, but I think that's a heavy ask. All right, let's wrap up with the final talking point, which we've mentioned, but haven't gone in full detail here. So shortly after the Inter Miami Lionel Messi PR release injury update brought to you by Baptist Health was this press release from Inter Miami's communication departments. And it reads, Quote, Inter Miami announced today an update to the Champions Tour, with the final match of the 2026 tour being postponed until February 26th. The club, in collaboration with the event promoter and the government of Puerto Rico, believes shifting the match will allow for the best experience for fans in Puerto Rico. The match will remain at 7 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. local, at Estadio Juan Ramón Lubriel in Bayamón, Puerto Rico, and the opponent also remains Independiente del Valle. Quote, unfortunately, I felt some muscle tightness in the last match, but we were really looking forward to seeing you. So together with the club, we worked on finding an alternative date to be able to travel and play in Puerto Rico, said Inter Miami captain Lionel Messi. We know the excitement and the desire you have to watch an Inter Miami match, and it will be very special to make it happen soon. End quote, end quote. That is Inter Miami's press release. The game we discussed is moved to February
First of all,
26th.
what are the chances that is a real Messi quote?
Well, so I'm going to share with you. I'm going to share with you the real Messi quote. We're going to listen to. We're going to have a soundbite from Lionel Messi, a clip from Lionel Messi here. This is from Lionel Messi's Instagram. He shared this on his personal Instagram story, talking about the game, and I think that's where this quote comes from.
Hola a todos, bueno nada, quería mandar este mensaje a la gente de Puerto Rico, tanto a la gente que iba a ir al entrenamiento como al partido. La verdad que el último partido en Ecuador terminé con una molestia, por eso salí antes de terminar también. Y nada, junto a la gente de la organización, junto con la del club, decidió suspender este partido, así que espero que se pueda reprogramar, que nos podamos ver y que podamos visitarlo pronto y nada, mandarle un cariño muy grande a todos ustedes, agradecerle por el cariño, porque sé que estaban todas las entradas vendidas y lo íbamos a ver, así que esperemos que lo podamos hacer más adelante. Le mando un abrazo grande y lo mejor. Chao.
There you go. So I think that's where that quote is put.
But at that point, he wasn't sure about the new date.
Oh, like then he published something else.
Right. Because he doesn't mention, like, we're going to be back on February 26th. That was a separate story.
I don't expect Messi to give you all the ins and outs.
Well, he did it. He did it later. He did it after, right after. But in that particular video, I think everything, unfolded so fast within, the last few hours that he did not even have the details.
It's obvious for the people who paid to take Inter Miami there. They wanted Messi or nothing. It's what I was saying to you at the beginning of the program. Before, you could take Busquets and you could take Jordi Alba to take his place, but now Rodrigo de Paul is simply just not enough. He's not in that category of that kind of.
Luis Suarez.
He's a superstar. And Luis Suarez, obviously. The problem with Luis Suarez, you know what it is that his reputation, a lot of people don't like him. And,
no, but still, people are going to watch him play.
That happens with Paul also. The people don't like him. But Busquets and Jordi Alba, of course, people were going to tell you who are Real Madrid. They were going to tell you Busquets, blah, blah, blah. But everyone respected them because of what they accomplished in the field, and they were humble. And maybe you can say that Luis Suarez is humble, but De Paul is not humble. So
yes, I don't know.
It's just not the same. So I get it. And I get that's why things were managed like the way they were, because people were expecting. There's a lot of money invested into getting Miami to play.
Messi's Messi. That's why.
Exactly.
The whole tour is because of Messi.
It's because of him.
Even I think even with Pussy and Jordi Alba, if Messi was not part of the picture for the last 3 years, preseason for Inter Miami would have been in Tampa. Where else?
Oklahoma, maybe against the USL team in Oklahoma.
No, the in Charlotte. No, not Charlotte. In Charleston.
The Breeze Cup. The one that Phil won.
The Sun Cup. Yeah. Stuff like that. That would have been preseason for Inter.
Carolina Challenge Cup.
The Carolina
Challenge Cup.
That would have been preseason for this.
Going back to this game, which was the last game of the Champions Tour, and I'm sure there's contractual obligations that had to be fulfilled, which is part of probably, again, not information, it's a supposition, but probably why it was moved and still being played. is because there are contractual obligations. There's money.
And you know that
that
contractual
has that play
obligations here in the United States, because I'm guessing if this was in Honduras or something else, it wouldn't be rescheduled. But this, since Puerto Rico is obviously United States, it's something that you cannot cancel. People can sue Inter Miami, can sue Messi, and it's something, you know, when it's American law, it's different.
This reminds me of the Super Bowl over again, with all the Puerto Rico is part of the U.S. talk, which some people have no clue about. And I will say this about Inter. I will say this about Inter Miami, because this was part of their press release and it wasn't in that clip there that I shared. I think they did right by the fans here, because they said tickets for the match will remain valid for the new date. If ticket holders are unable to attend the match on the new date, ticket holders will be able to request a refund through. There's a link. Inter Miami Foundation International Youth Clinic is still taking place as scheduled tomorrow or in this next couple of days in Puerto Rico. And the open training that was set for Thursday in Puerto Rico is also being rescheduled for February 25th. Tickets for that event will remain valid. If ticket holders are unable to attend, ticket holders will be able to request a refund. So they're doing right by the fans, at least in that regard. I'm sure there's, again, legal
American
ramifications
law,
for
American law.
I'm sure there's legal ramifications for that. All the same, Jose, the biggest, or not the biggest, but one of the big implications here before we wrap up the show is that it's being rescheduled in between two MLS regular season games, right? The 26th is what, I think a Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. Well, Inter Miami plays what, on the 21st against LAFC in the MLS season opener. And then 2-3 days later, after the game against Puerto Rico, it's a derby, the Sunshine Clásico, el Clásico del Sol, away to Orlando City, where Lionel Messi, if I'm not mistaken, has never played yet. He has yet to play in Central Florida, in the South Florida, well, not South Florida, the Florida derby. I mean, what do we make of that, Jose?
Not much, honestly. There are two games that matter for the first 6 months of the MLS regular season. LAFC, because the season opening match, and April 4th against Austin in Miami Freedom Park. After those two particular dates, I mean, MLS doesn't really matter until after the World Cup. And that's the reality of things. They have to concentrate on winning Conca Champions. They want to get back to the Club World Cup. They have to go for Conca Champions. So if Messi goes to Puerto Rico, plays in Puerto Rico, and then doesn't play in Orlando, what happens? That's not that big a deal. So I don't think that's something to worry about.
Francisco
Garcia.
Garcia.
It's not ideal, but it's not something to worry about.
Francisco Garcia says, how much does Miami get paid for these friendlies with Messi? It's a good question.
I can tell you what happened in Honduras, because that's why I'm aware of. They paid them $5 million to go to Honduras, that team.
I think this tour in particular is different because it's the same company that's doing the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. It's all packaged
So
together.
it wasn't like last year where they went to
each one.
But I think this tour in particular showed one thing, and the one thing is that, things are starting to slow down about these preseason tours, because we've seen, at capacity stadiums in Medellin and Barcelona, well, not at capacity, but very good crowds,
very full, yeah.
But they have struggled to sell tickets at the initial price. So
that's because the organizers are greedy,
right? But it's not a situation where
you have to pay $5 million. That was last year. I imagine maybe the price has gone up. Now they're champions, right? So
I don't think so. The MLS championship doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't sell.
The only thing that matters
is
if you have Messi.
With Messi.
Exactly.
This is MLS champions with Messi, right?
It's a Champions Tour, pero a Champions Tour is what it's being marketed
Messi
as here
tour.
in the US.
Yes.
In the South American countries, at least I don't know about Peru, which I should know, but I don't know. And I don't think it was. But I know that in Medellin, in Colombia, and in Guayaquil, in Ecuador, both of those games were marketed as El Partido de la Historia,
right?
Which would mean the game of history, or the game, some crap like that, which is complete nonsense. It's just marketing talk. And but yeah, it wasn't marketed as like, ooh, the Champions Tour. They're like that's not that wasn't that wasn't
I
the
don't
big
I don't
stuff.
know if they can do it again next year, to be honest. I mean, they could still go again to Central America because there are quite a few options. I think Guatemala, El Salvador might do it again.
Take Messi to Mexico.
I don't know if their new
Take
stadium
him to
will be ready in
Mexico.
El
Take him
Salvador.
to Mexico. See how it goes.
Mexico.
No, I don't think
I don't
Mexico is a
know.
good place.
It'll
Yeah, I
probably
don't
be the US again. Rich keeps asking, put your percentage he plays season opener. All right, this is how we'll start to wrap up the show. Jose,
Okay.
put a percentage on it.
85%.
Andrea,
70.
50. It's a coin toss, in my opinion.
That's bad. That's bad. That's like saying I don't know.
I don't know.
You have to go over 50 or
We
under
don't know,
50.
Jose.
I don't know.
Unless we get Messi's
give a
resonancia.
If the team would be a
I
little more
wouldn't tell you.
transparent and give us an actual timetable for recovery, which they won't do, but if they
Then
did,
there will be no question.
Right. Then we wouldn't have to have speculation. Then we would just know, right? Then the information is just clear.
Just have fun. Play with Rich.
Play with the
his
area.
question.
Play with the shades of gray. Okay, we'll leave it there. I think Inter Miami. I mean, they're out of preseason games unless they line something up for this weekend, closed door. I think there's been progress, but I don't think there's been enough progress heading into the start of the season. I think they will be a little bit behind the 8 ball in that sense. Hopefully, for their sake, their individual talent can overcome
LAFC,
that
talking about that game, LAFC would have played the Conca Champions in Honduras, actually, before that game against Inter Miami. So they would have some miles on their shoes with Son and Boanga and a couple of players they have brought. I think they brought Eustaquio. They have a good team, I think.
Yeah, they obviously have a good team.
They're gonna be interesting to see if they can keep up with Inter Miami, of course. With Inter Miami losing Jordi and Busquets, LAFC is one of those teams called up to compete with them, and I think they have been spending. And I think it's going to be an interesting game, that first one.
That's a game for a show. I mean,
Yeah,
that doesn't really matter. If they
Yeah.
win that game 3-0, 5-0, or they end up losing it 4-1, 6-1, nobody would remember that in 2 months.
I don't know about nobody would
Ay,
remember. LA would remember
please.
that. Los Angeles fans
It's
would remember
Messi
that.
against Boanga and
And
Son.
who cares? I
Listen,
mean, they're
I
miles
agree
and
with you
miles
here.
away. They're
Jose,
miles and miles away. If they don't win against Nashville, that's something that we should talk about. If they don't move past Nashville, that's a big deal. LAFC,
Jose, it
first game
can
of
be
the season.
Ottawa, carajo. Stop saying Nashville. I hope Ottawa
Right.
wins this
It could be
whole
Ottawa.
tournament so that you respect them. Man, Jesus
It could
Christ.
be Ottawa. Right.
I've disagreed with you for much of the podcast, but I will agree with you here in that on the balance and el balance, does the season opener mean a whole lot for Inter Miami? No, but it's not meaningless either. It is a regular season game. There will be conclusions drawn. It is a high-profile match against Boanga and your boy Boanga and
MVP
Son.
Boanga.
So, I mean, it does have some weight. Maybe not a lot of weight, but it has some weight. If they get blown out to start the season, I mean, that's going to bring some negative vibes.
Yeah, of course, because for me, and why I brought this LAFC talk, it's because that's going to depend on what they can do or how they get, or we were talking at the first part, how will they get into the Conca Champions? Because it's not the same getting into the Conca Champions, having won all the games against LAFC, against Orlando, against your rivals, biggest rivals, or those rivalries MLS wants to create. Then coming up and losing against LAFC, then losing against Orlando and all of that, it's not going to be the same. Coming to Conca Champions when you have had a shaky start. So for me this year, that is the important thing about the beginning of MLS, to see how they can get in best shape for that second week in March in which they will play the Conca Champions.
So if Inter Miami ends up losing for the first 5 games because they're on the road, season over?
For MLS, obviously no.
Not over.
That's not what I
Season's
mean,
not over.
Jose. You know what I mean.
They could still be in first place.
That's
Doesn't matter. It
Yeah,
doesn't
of course, but it's important for the Conca if you want to win the Conca Champions.
It's important for like the day-to-day vibe, right? If you're losing every single game, that's not gonna leave you in a very good spot.
If they lose MLS games and win in the Conca Champions, doesn't matter.
That's true. That's true, but they got to win. So you get
Right.
it's
That's
just
what I'm
assuming.
saying. Conca Champions.
All
Jorge
right.
Mas said it pretty clear.
I have the
Conca
clip here.
Champions.
We'll share it again next week when we do our season preview pod. And hopefully we can get the three of us together, but I know the schedules are challenging. We went long, 10 minutes long, so that means yellow card for me
For
as
you.
the showrunner.
Yes.
Yellow card for Jose.
No.
And that means a yellow card for Andrea, which is her second. So that means a red card, so she gets muted for a minute. But we will wrap it up there. Andrea gets a red card in preseason. The David Ayala of Miami Total Football Radio. We will be back next week. We'll have a proper preseason pod. There's not a game to talk about, so there's not. Andrea, don't worry, I will unmute you in 30 seconds. We will have a proper preview pod. We'll have the predictions that Jose loves. Hopefully, I'll try my best to get all three of us aligned. But I know we have hectic and busy schedules. But we'll do our best. So that will do it for this show. It was nice to have both of you back on again. Nice to see your faces on this streaming platform, although I saw you guys earlier today. Hopefully we can do it again next week, and we will work out and iron out all the kinks. So any parting thoughts from either one of you? Anything at all?
No,
Bad
good
Bunny.
to be back.
Bad Bunny concert.
The Bad Bunny concert was awesome, of course. Que se la... Todos los que están molestando. Bad Bunny was awesome. And I'm
Funny
glad
enough,
to be
he's
back.
going to be in Argentina this weekend. He resumes his
concert.
His concert, his tour. He resumes that with 3 shows in Buenos Aires this weekend.
That's going to be awesome.
On Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So people were like, oh, he's going to be at the friendly for Inter Miami versus Independiente del Valle in Puerto Rico on Friday. No, he had a concert to attend. Coincidentally in Argentina. But bueno, all right. Jose looks like he's ready to go. I feel like he wants to go play some Call of Duty or some EAFC.
I'm hungry.
After all that talking about EAFC and how it's not that easy. We'll be back next week. For Andrea Llanes, a.k.a. Ajicita. For Jose Armando, a.k.a. Alan Jose, a.k.a. Cinco. I am Franco Panizo. You have been listening or watching Miami Total Football Radio. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, viewers. We'll talk to you guys again next week.